Welcome to the Early Educator Podcast. We talk about everything that you need when it comes to growing your business, overcoming obstacles, and making an impact to not only the children in your care, but to your community and your family. My name is Blake, and to my left today we have Philip Hester, the president of Our Daily Bread CACFP, and to my right we have Cinta, who is the executive director of Our Daily Bread CACFP. Guys, how are we doing today?
Doing good.
Doing good?
Doing great.
Yes, sir.
Nice. Good.
Doing great.
Same here.
It's warming up.
Yes.
Feeling good. Springtime.
Yes. Weather is back. It was awesome. I was outside yesterday for a little bit, and I was sitting out there when the kids play. I sat there, and I was like, man, I looked at the weather said like 64 degrees. And so I was like, yeah, should we feel good? And after like 5 minutes, I was hot. I was like, whew, I started sweating. So it feels good to get back to that weather. So I'm really, really excited. But yeah, hope you guys love the weather too, those who live in the Tennessee area. But yeah, so today we have a topic for you. Basically, we just want to talk about just basically having a good foundation. Because I know, like with us in 2020, COVID-19 hits with Our Daily Bread. You know, things, everybody's business. A lot of people got shut down. A lot of people were like, okay, we have to go out of business for the next like month or so. And so it was a scary time, especially for us, because like for us, we work with daycares and daycare homes, daycare centers. And so we know that for a lot of them, they were told, have to go home, stay in lockdown until further notice. And so for us, it was tough, but through that, we managed to stay, not just stay up and running, but we were also able to keep all of our staff, which was a huge blessing. And we got to be able to keep our staff, keep everything running, keep everything the same. Of course, we made some different financial decisions, but we were able to keep things stable. And so it just made me think for us, during the hardship, we were able to have a really solid foundation. And so basically, I just wanted to talk to you all and kind of get y'all's thoughts of, preparing for hardships and just preparing for potentially like the worst or having a good foundation. What are things that you all think that a daycare or childcare facility needs to have in order to make sure that they have that firm foundation?
Well, one of the things you want to do, first of all, is make sure that you're keeping good records. That was one of the things, because I know, like you mentioned, COVID, through the early stages of COVID, especially in 2020, there was some programs that thankfully USDA put in place, and not only USDA, but the federal government put in place, and that we were able to, apply for some of the hardships that we did face. However, with a lot of childcare sites, one of the things that we noticed the most, the reason a lot of sites couldn't apply for the PPP, which is was one of the largest programs. One of the reasons they couldn't do that is because they really didn't keep good records. It's not that they didn't keep records; they didn't keep all of the records that they should have had in place. So a lot of businesses, not just childcare facilities, just weren't able to apply for that financial help. There were some grant opportunities in childcare in particular that some sites were not able to take advantage of because of their records, that they didn't have. So I would say one of the main things is that you have to make sure that you're keeping good records and your records are sound. Like your daily sign in and outs, your payments, and things like that, your payroll. You want to make sure that all those things are in place. And that was one of the things that helped us tremendously, is that, we keep very good records here, and we're able to track everything and really take advantage of some of those opportunities that the government offered, because it was much needed. And a lot of our sites that now, however, they were able to apply because they had good records, but not all. But so that's one of the first things that I would say. Make sure that you have real good records.
That's something. Is that at least for me, I always think have good records just in case for like an audit or something to make sure that you stay compliant with everything good. But keeping good records could also mean you possibly like applying for these different programs, things like that. That could help you and save you in a situation like that. That's something.
Yeah, and I agree. I totally agree. And I would also say that another thing is you when starting a facility or even having a facility, you have to have when starting you have to have a purpose. I mean, you say I'm doing childcare because I want to keep children, but it's bigger than that. And
Mm-hmm.
so starting out with any business, you have to be driven to do that, and you have the purpose behind it has to be bigger than just I'm starting childcare just to keep kids. It has to be in your heart. It has to be a heart thing. And also you have to have strong values with any business that you do. You also have a clear vision, clear mission. We've talked about that in a previous podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and in setting that solid foundation for your business. And you have to live by that. You have to work by that. You have to enforce everything you do has to be driven by that
Mm-hmm.
in your organization. And I think a really big thing is you have to always separate business from personal. That
Mm-hmm.
helps with that solid foundation as well.
Mm-hmm.
A business plan is a huge thing in your business. You always have to have that business plan, and follow that business plan and keeping that foundation solid.
Okay, if you don't mind, could you go more into the business plan? Like, what exactly would that consist of?
Absolutely. There's your financials in that business plan. There's that what of that business plan. How are we going to do this? There's that how many employees am I going to need? What am I going to pay my employees? There's that financial end of the kitchen, the cook, the food. How much is it going to cost to feed? If what is my capacity going to be for my facility? And if my capacity is this, how many children am I going to feed? What is it going to cost me to feed those children? It's just an all-out business plan for what it's going to cost me to run that facility. And so what is it going to cost me to feed my employees? So what is my total and overall cost going to be? And there are templates and things that you can find out on the website that will help you with just a general all out business plan, but you'll have to do the plug in for that business plan. But you definitely have to operate off of a business plan.
Oh, okay. That thing's really important too.
That is.
Well, that might be something we might do a training on or something. And make a business plan.
That definitely is that you cannot operate without a business plan.
Man.
And like Cinta said, one of the biggest things in there, you want the how-tos, but once the thing and that you had mentioned earlier that kept us afloat during COVID when it hit, we lost 80%, almost 90% of our revenue. That was, that could have been devastating. It was devastating to so many, but but you want to also position yourself for those rainy days because it's going to rain. It's going to rain in our lives personally. It's going to rain in our businesses. And what I mean by that is tough times are going to come.
Yep.
And you want to make sure that you have that budget to support those tough times. And in that budget, it's just, basic math. You don't, just like in our personal, likewise in business, don't spend more than you make. Granted, there may be times when you take out a loan, but you may not always have to take out business loans to stay afloat. Manage what you have. Try not to spend more than you make. That's one of the biggest things. And limit the amount of debt that you take on. We're very big on that. and also, personal finances, even in our agency, we want our team, the 25 people that we have on this team, we want them to be financially stable. We offer financial courses for our own team. And so now, why is that important?
Yeah.
You can't work. None of us can work if we're afraid. We're looking out the window every hour to see if our car's getting repossessed, or we're worried about what we're going to do because our finances aren't. And so my job performance, my finances, believe it or not, are a part of my health. Because I'm going to be physically worried about things that that's coming up in my life financially. So a budget, likewise, especially in your business, if you're worried that you're going to get foreclosed on, or that, it's just hard to work, your mind is somewhere else. So finances and budget is very important. Try to cash flow as much as you can of your business. And another thing too, try to limit some of your personal luxuries. You may not be driving a brand new car. That's okay. Just because you're the business owner or business director, you don't have to have the nicest car in the lot. Just stay within your means, because there's a bigger picture out here, and that's going to be your business.
And can I say, before you go too much further, I that to me parallels to Philip was saying, you can't focus on your job if it's in the forefront, the back of your mind, or even the forefront of your mind, if you're thinking about your finances or somebody coming to repossess your car, that type of thing. Yeah. To me, that brings up the fact of the children just as well. If the children are, if you're trying to, just like on our program, if we're reimbursing for them, feeding them healthy, nutritious meals, if the children aren't receiving those healthy, nutritious meals that the educators are being reimbursed for feeding them, then they as well can't focus. If they're not fed those healthy, nutritious meals that these educators are receiving, from us, they just the same. Children can't focus if they're not receiving the nutrients and well-balanced, healthy, nutritious meals that they need. So that's the same exact thing, the kids. Yeah. So that just popped out in my head. Yeah. It just popped out before I forget it.
That's true.
I'm sorry. But, it's so true, because the food and learning, those two things go hand in hand, They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Philip.
No, that's fine.
That's so important to me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm sorry. I know you were on a roll.
Oh no, we were just talking about a budget, but that's fine.
But that foundation and that budget.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody actually here at the office a couple weeks ago. We were out for lunch, and kind of like you said, somebody had like a brand new truck. It was a nice looking truck, and one of our other staff members mentioned, like, hey, did you see that? It's a really nice truck. And because other person in the staff has a truck as well. And they're like, it's a really nice truck. And the person on our staff said, yeah, but mine's paid off. And it's like, it's like a 1990-something truck. But he loves that truck. I can just tell. He's so passionate about it, because, it's like, yeah, it's paid off. So it's nice, but I don't have the worry of having to make payments on that thing.
Exactly. And they ride so much better when they're paid off.
Oh man.
They're fun to drive.
Yeah.
It's funny how your mind shifts when you finally get it. When you're like, I don't have to be the one that, I don't have to have that brand new this or brand new that, because my funds can be spent elsewhere, or can be saved for living the same type of life I'm living right now later on down the road.
Yeah.
Everything's paid off, and I'm fine.
Yeah, it's true. And think too, like, why you buy some things. Like, do I buy this thing? Yes, I like it, but do I like it because I want to look good? I want people to see like I look good. Like, I want to drive by somebody for 5 seconds and they say, oh, nice car, and that's it, So it's important too, for sure.
It is.
Yeah.
It's different.
But yeah, I guess on that too, when it comes to I guess you mentioned stay on top of records and like something like that. Well, is there other things you guys think are important for them to stay focused on? I don't know if you want to go more in depth about like their budget, how it should be laid out, or whatever.
I do as far as like spending and purchasing.
Okay.
That's one of the things that we did here when we first started the agency and Cinta started in '95, and our very first office was just oh man, it was just almost like just an open space, old hardwood floors, and we just makeshift office.
Looked like a gymnasium floor.
Yeah, it did. It was like we could shoot ball in there. But it not that it was that big. It was just the floor was like, I mean, shoot some ball in here. But I mean, man, we went out to garage sales and we found desk, binders, pens. I mean, we were low budget, but it was, functional items that we could actually use, and we got them at a very discounted price. So don't be afraid to go out and, whether it's garage sales or if you see that a child care facility is closing, hey, can I come through and get first dibs on some of your equipment, some of your whether it's outdoor equipment, indoor, off, whatever. Can I come through and take a look at that? I hate your closing, but I would love to come around and take a look. Don't be afraid to do that and repurpose those things. You don't always have to go out and buy new, bigger, better. Granted, you want the best technology for your children that you can find, but don't be afraid to go and really look for those bargains. And we did that for years. And I don't know. It was probably, I think we were in business maybe 10 years before we bought the first piece of new office furniture.
Wow.
And believe it or not, we kept that until we moved into this building. And one particular piece that we bought in like 90, I think it was like 2004.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. And we had that until we moved in this building in 2020. Wow. No, 2019. So for 15 years, we had this one particular set of furniture around that long.
That was your desk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a big section desk thing. Man, we were proud. We were proud of it. This big unit had a big hutch on it. But that was the first piece of new furniture that we bought. And it wasn't all that expensive, but we just nickeled and dimed to to get all of our furniture. We would just be tickled to find office supplies. You'd be surprised what you can find just at a garage sale. So, but we did that for a number of years, and we just like anything we can that would help us in our business. So don't be afraid to do that. That was always something.
But I would also build a website. I would focus on website or some kind of presence that for people to go to be able to see your business and get information about your business. And I would also for foundationally focus on the relationships that you build in your business, because that builds a good solid foundation for educators with their families. Build those relationships and definitely pay attention to those relationships and focus on those. That helps to build your foundation.
That's a really good point. Really good point. Because with business side, the things you can focus on, but having those close relationships, that's that's really good. That's really good. Yeah. Okay. So how do you think a educator can prepare for, what do you think is the best steps for preparing for hardships? You guys have any thoughts on that, like things to focus on or to have to focus on when the hard times come? Because they will come. Like we just said, that they don't bank on they won't. They will. I think it's really important.
So there's two sides to that. There's a financial side, and then there again is a relationship side.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're, like I said, if you focus on that relationship and you build on that relationship, whatever you've put in place to once you've built that relationship, when that time comes, if things come where there's disagreements or things of that sort, you know how to handle those people that are in those parents, or in our case those educators, those types of things. Then you, once you have those relationships, you know how to deal with those relationships, and you should be able to nurture those relationships once they're there. The financial side of that, like Philip said, is from beginning is when we did things to be good stewards of the finances that we have. When we you always from the beginning should make sure that you're financially viable.
Mm-hmm.
And financially viable, whether that is to save money, or in an educator's position, it would be to save money to make sure that you didn't spend frivolously. You poured back into your facility. You made sure that you did things for the longevity. The things that you bought for your facility were things that were durable and were going to last. You wouldn't buy them today and have to buy them again next year. Things of that sort. But the big thing is to save and to make sure that the things you did today were things you did to plan for tomorrow.
Okay.
It is the way I see it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay.
And continually too, and the other piece of that for me is to do things to pour into the children, rather it to be, you have your facility and you have your toys, you have your activities, you have your art, you have your different things like that. But I think that the meat and the big pieces to that is the things that are going to travel with them, like to prepare them for school, your curriculum, your the things that you know that they need to move on. So I think those two are things that are pouring into the children, and those are things that are here today that are going to be there for years to come for the kids. So I think those are things, are partnerships with people, with your CCR&Rs, your different departments. I don't want to get into names because there's so many different names that they could partner with. So so forgive me for just naming one person. There's several different partnerships that we have that are very valuable, but you partner with those different organizations that that are very, very valuable partnerships that will that you'll be able to use, that will pour into the children for years to come. That will be with them for a lifetime, actually, because that is a foundation for the children, a solid foundation, a solid platform.
Yeah, I think it's great to use those that have resources, but also childcare licensing. I know with some, they feel that that's, man, they're trying to regulate me, or they're forcing me to do that. No, they want you to win. Childcare licensing, that's their job. Their job is to make sure you win, and they're going to give you the tools, and they're going to regulate you to position you to win. They're not there to hurt you. So that's what's going to sustain you, is to build those relationships with your child care licensures, and ask them for their input. You may be doing something that you feel is just, man, perfect and right. However, it may not be within a certain regulation. So you just want to, bounce that information off them to make sure that, one, you're in compliance, that you're doing things the right way, you're operating your business in the right way, and they will help guide you. That's all they are. They are a guide to your success. Don't look at them as, oh, here they come, or even the CACFP for that matter. Our Daily Bread CACFP is not here to penalize anybody. We want you to win on this program. Likewise with licensing. So to sustain your business, you need that good working relationship with childcare licensing. Like I said, CCR&R, TECTA. There's so many. There's some child aware, so
Mhm.
many different groups in Kentucky that make sure that you're using all of those and you're working with them to build your business, because that's what they're there for, to help you thrive and build your business.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, because ultimately, like with us too, like, well, we win if you guys win, and the more you win, the more we win too. So we definitely want that, and yeah, that's a really good point. Um, Another thing I want to mention too, when it comes to like assets and liabilities, a lot of times it's tough to know like sometimes what's the best thing to spend on whatever. Are there a couple of things you guys would say are investments that are worth that you'd say were worth investing into, whether that's a certain department in the business um or yeah, any kind of anything in the business where you'd say like, yeah, this costs up front, but in the long term it could really save you financially, save you whatever.
Yes. Training. Did I say training?
Trade.
Absolutely. That is something that you should invest in your team for, is training. That is the number one thing. We did a breakdown with our team, with our executive team, and we thought other things were at the top. And so we did this exercise to see which things were at the top and which one thing would come out at the top. And we were all surprised because we thought other things would be up there at number one.
Mm-hmm.
Training one, I mean, with flying colors, which
Mm-hmm.
was the one thing, the first, I guess, say number one thing, not the one thing, number one thing that was the number one thing that our team wanted, was training.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is true for most, because then we looked at our educators, and training won out again as the
Mm-hmm.
number one thing. So I think when you look at, again, a good foundation, training, send your educators to training. Let them watch our training that we have available on our website, on our YouTubes, on our, on our, all of our social media that we have available. But I would say training is really, really a good, for building a good foundation, and not just that initial training, but training is constant. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a one and done type thing.
Mm.
Yeah, continuing education is a big thing. Later on this month, we're going to be sending it's about 14 people to New Orleans for a training.
Mm.
Now, is that something that we have to do? No, it's not. But that is something that is definitely worth the investment, and that you're going to get on the back end, because they're going to get specific training on the job that they do every day. And especially in this business, it's kind of hard to find. Uh, not everybody does what we do, and that's
Mm-hmm.
perfectly fine. But this is going to be specialized training, and I mean, it's a large cost, in our budget, but well worth it to do
Mm-hmm.
so. Now, and you may not have a large budget to fly people all over the country and get them trained in that area, but there's some free trainings, like Cinta mentioned, from us,
Mm-hmm.
from child care licensing, CCR&R, and others, uh, and all these child care resources, just free trainings that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Let your people walk through those trainings, talk about those, discuss those. Training is probably the number one investment in your business, because you have to have people that's equipped to do the job on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as some things in and around your business, you want a good, clean, safe facility,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to invest in aesthetics. You want your place to look good,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it may not require redoing and remodeling, but maybe just a little elbow grease, getting things cleaned up, and in place, and well put together,
Yeah.
on a regular basis. those type things will be, something that's it can be relatively inexpensive, but definitely worth the investment. If depends on your demographic. If you are in infant care and you have a lot of very young children, early toddlers, then invest in good equipment for them. Now, you don't have to go out and, once again, you don't have to buy new. It could be someone that just purchased a lot of new equipment that, for whatever reason, they may be closing. Now you can go out and buy that equipment for pennies on the dollar. And then likewise, if you have an after school program, make that investment in technology, some things that's going to enhance their education. And when they're coming, they're not just going to run around the yard or to do their homework. You're able to invest in their ongoing education as well.
Yeah. I think one thing that's helped us a lot too is investing and having someone help with like bookkeeping, accounting stuff. That's helped a lot because that's actually managed to save us sometimes with some situations. And I think, like I said, because keeping good records is super important. So having somebody, if you notice like something that you don't like or you struggle doing in general, is something that could really help you long run too.
I wanted to mention that later, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm glad you mentioned it right here. That was one of the things with us, that was money I just never was comfortable spending, and we do a good job with our own books. But if you're ready to grow, I'm not an accountant. That's not what I do. I do it and did it fairly well. That's not what I do. So don't think that you're saving money by adding tasks to your day-to-day, because now you're just checking boxes and knocking out tasks. And that's what we were doing. But in order for us to actually grow, once we were able, that's what we did. We were like, hey, let's get a good accounting firm that we can work with that can help us with the day-to-day payroll and everything. And because that's what they do. And we do CACFP, and we can do CACFP better if we allow the accounting to do accounting.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. And there was some training modules out there that, well, why would we spend hours and months and years trying to build this big training module when they already have the training module? Yeah. Go ahead and make that investment and get the return on that investment for that particular training model. So there were, there's times when you have to, if you find yourself like I was, just spending an inordinate amount of time doing finances. I'm thinking, I am not an accountant. This is more than I can handle. So now let's find somebody that we trust that we're going to do that. We work with a great team of people, the KF group. They're phenomenal. And I would like to have them on one day to talk about finances and the importance of that, because that is, that's like we were talking about records. And that was one of the things that really hurt a lot of businesses. Their accounting just wasn't in order. And so accounting is very much at the top right there, once again.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to say a couple of things. You said that the businesses, their accounting wasn't in order. Sometimes you don't even know that your accounting isn't really, you think you're doing a great job, and then you bring a group in like KF group and you're like, wow, they did this and they did this and they did this. I wasn't doing that and I wasn't doing, and they just make it so much easier because you just hand it all to them, And the other thing I was going to say is, when you gave all that accounting work which you wasn't an accountant to them, which by the way I've been trying to get you to do for years, that freed you up though to do so many more presidential duties, that you were going, okay, I'm checking the box, I'm doing that real quick, okay, but now you're like, wow, so that's something else to consider, is that and it takes some of the stress off of the directors at the facilities. If you'll just give them this and let them do this, you can do this, this, and this as a director, in your facility. It really will free you up to do this. And that will make their job so much easier. And that is hard. And Philip is attesting to that. It's hard to hand it over to somebody else. But you can go in and look at your account and go, all right, all this is done. And so now what? And go on with your stuff.
Yeah. And go ahead. I'm sorry. You want to finish?
Okay.
But I'm sorry about that. I didn't want to lose mine.
It's okay.
But that's one of the hurdles with a lot of child care facilities that do partner with us, and there's that fee, for the child care centers. That's always everybody's hurdle. They don't want to pay that. And that is a pain point of theirs, and we certainly understand that. But our agency, we've got 25 trained people here that's going to make sure that you're staying in compliance, that is making sure that, this is what we do. Like I said, you do child care, you don't do CACFP. We do. We keep up with the rules, regulations, federal, state, local, all the regulate. That's what we do. Let us handle that. And if let us handle that CACFP, you handle childcare. You're going to be so much better at childcare, I promise you, than you are at CACFP, because you're not going to have the time. And this is what we do. Likewise, in your business, we're not trying to come in and tell you how to do childcare, because that's what you do. That's your business. That's your primary focus. So, it's definitely worth the investment. Because you have somebody that's advocating and keeping you in compliance. Not only that, you have training on demand with us, and we can have a staff member contact you and get you and your whole entire team trained. You don't have to send them across country to get trained or cross state to get trained. We can come in and do that for you. And that's part of the fee. That's part of what we do. So,
that's great. It helps a lot too whenever you have somebody that helps you with your record keeping and accounting and stuff like that. Because I remember back in the day when audit time came, man, we were running around like chickens with their head cut off. Like we're running around. We need this. We're like, we were all over the place. But now we have
digging
audits.
out files. Oh, it's in here somewhere.
Oh man, we were sifting through. But now we have audits. Still a little bit of like, okay, but a lot of times we can be like, hey, KF Group, we got auditing. Can you do this? They're like, taking care. We got it. It's a good feeling to know you got somebody that has under control. That's helped a lot. But yeah, is there anything else you guys want to mention about anything about Foundation?
I do. I want to say Foundation as a whole. Philip touched base on it a little bit, and I talked about training, and Philip talked about USDA and how we have that. How we send our team to we're going to send a lot of our team to be trained, and this conference that we're sending them to is specific to the CACFP. So they get specialized training in their area at this training. And I just want to say that we, and he talked about our educators not, some people don't want to pay that fee and this, that, and the other. And I just want to reiterate the fact that, we do know exactly what the federal guidelines are. We keep up with that on a regular and continual basis. Even within our organization, we have a policy and regulation committee that keeps up with those things. So we do make sure that we know exactly what those things are. And so even when we go to this conference, we get the latest of what USDA has to say about these guidelines. And so that is another layer of what a foundation is for our educators. Knowing that when we get this information, we distributed it right out to them, or if there's a regulation that we know about that needs to be implemented about whatever the paperwork is they're doing or whatever, we know exactly what that is. And so building that foundation and knowing what that foundation is, there's no more security than that. That's a security blanket, another line of a security blanket for them. And he talked about their files or their files being in order and things like that. We're that security blanket for them because we're the direct line to our state and to the USDA. Yeah. Whereas, like you said, some of their files may have not have been in order. So do they have that direct line to the USDA? Yeah. They might, but they get a memo and they might go, I'll read it later. Well, you can't afford to do that. No. You can't afford to put it on the back burner and say, I'll read it later. And so we do. We read that. We act on that, and we send that information out and implement it. Yeah. So that's another layer to building that solid foundation to an organization, to a child care center, daycare home, you name it. So you must build that solid foundation, and we're part of helping them to build that foundation.
Yeah.
And I want to just speak to the family daycare home educators, just real brief. I know that you're offering care to a smaller group. Those are some advantages that you have as a daycare home provider, because not everybody wants their child to be in 100 or plus childcare setting, and that's understandable. It's just like anything, but you have that small specialized care. Use that to your advantage, for those that are looking for that type of care. Let them know that it's more one-on-one and very specialized. And flexibilities, you have more flexibilities. You may be able to accommodate parents in certain areas, whether opening a little earlier or staying open a little bit later. You do have those flexibilities. However, you also want to make sure that it is your home, and you want to make sure that it does fit you and your family schedule, because a lot of times too we get so caught up into, man, you really want the business, you really want those families to find you, and you want to care for those children, and sometimes we can overpromise, and when we overpromise, sometimes we underperform, and we can find ourselves, a little bit, unhappy because we've agreed to doing this for the sake of our business. But be very firm. You always want to create those boundaries with your parents. This is the time that I open. This is the time I go. You are a business just as well as 100 plus facility. These are my hours. These, this is what, when we open and when we close. I mean, I do want to say this, but because you do have a life outside of childcare.
That's separating that business and personal.
Exactly. You have to
separate the two.
Yeah. Childcare is your business. Childcare is not your life. So, and make sure that your parents know that for the daycare home educators.
Yeah. Good points. You guys have anything else you guys want to mention?
No.
Nope.
I do not.
Awesome. Well, like I said, like we've been mentioning, if you do want to contact us and see how we can help you and be another safety net, you can feel free to contact us through social media, through our phone number, anything. But yeah, you guys have any other announcements or anything want to mention?
Nope.
Before we sign off?
No announcements.
Nothing?
Also, for those that are on the CACFP, well, first of all, let me speak to the ones that aren't, and you are a little reluctant. You can always call us and or email us. We'll contact you, and we can just do an analysis to see if the program fits you. It doesn't fit everybody. Some may qualify, some may not, and that's perfectly fine. Or and we can do an analysis of the children that you serve, the demographic, the income, and weigh all that out just to see if you qualify. Because this program is an awesome program. It is funded by the USDA, which and that's what we were talking at the onset of this podcast, how important it is to keep up with your records. It's a federally funded program. We have to be good stewards of that money, and we feel that we do it very well, and we're very proud of that. Also, but if you're not on the program, just see if you qualify for the program and see if it fits you and your daycare. Also, for those that are on the program, make sure that you make CACFP a part of your selling points when you're interviewing families or when they're interviewing you to bring their children there. Let them know that you're going to be supplying their meals, that those meals, it's not going to affect tuition at all. That's all encapsulated in whatever your tuition is. You're not charging any extra to serve meals to their children. You're going to be serving nutritious, healthy meals to the children. Children are going to be able to, they're going to be in attendance more at your facility because they're healthier, getting good meals. That's going to also free up parents. That's one of the big pain points for parents, having to prep meals for their child's daycare experience. Well, that's all handled. That's one less thing that a parent has to do. So, that's a great selling point for you and your child care business. Make sure that you're doing that. But more than anything, we are helping form those little ones' palates for nutritious, to give them that taste for nutritious foods. And I get it. We've all done it. I know that a lot of times we find ourselves riding around, especially if your kids are in any type of sport. You just burgers and fries over the back seat. We're picking up what they want here, and that's chicken nuggets. Tossing in the back. We get that. I understand that, but that's not what child care is about. We want to offer children good, healthy, nutritious meals, and in a child care setting, because that's where they're spending most of their days and most of their time during the day. So that's a very good thing. And the thing about Our Daily Bread CACFP, I do want to say that we do have our menus are very diversified. They're culturally diversified, and as far as health wise, we have meatless Mondays, which is awesome. That's vegetarian options. Not everybody has to go the vegetarian route, but there are some alternatives to meat products that we implement to introduce that to a lot of the educators. There's also options to create your own menus. You can, if you'd like. If you do create your own menu, that's wonderful, but it does have to meet the USDA standards. So make sure that you do that. But with the rising cost of food, the CACFP is a great option because we're going to help reimburse you for the food that you serve to the children in your care. And right now, more than ever, I think that's something that all of our sites need. I would love to see this in every single child care facility out there because it's much needed. And you're showing a higher standard by being on the program. You're showing that you do care about the children's nutrition and health and overall health.
Yeah.
And you're already meeting the child care the CACFP standards if you're a licensed facility. So the next step is just to give us a call and to see if you qualify for the approved program. So we'd be more than happy to come alongside you on this program. And like Philip said, with the rising cost of food, this really, really would be a great addition to your center or to your home. And we would love to hear from you. So just give us a call, and we're waiting.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys, so much for listening to episode 6. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Have a great rest of your